what's going on, y'all? It's Barb Meets World, and we are back to discuss Married to Medicine Season 12, Episode 4, Trouble at Serenity Villa. And before we get into all that, you guys already know I need you guys to like the video because it helps me and my channel in terms of the algorithm. It helps me attract new subscribers such as yourself. And if you are not a current subscriber, go on ahead, hit the subscription button. I would love for you to become a Barb's babe. Also, drop down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on this episode as well as my commentary. Don't forget to share me with all of your people. My social media accounts are scrolling along the bottom of the screen, and be sure that you also turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads, shall you? Hey, what's going on, y'all? Oh, I hate that when the glare gets in my glasses. I'm gonna have to play around a little bit. Nonetheless, how are you guys feeling about this season? When I tell you I am really just enjoying the out of this show, based on last week and even more so this week, I can clearly tell why people think that this is the best show on Bravo. I couldn't agree more at this point in time. It's very, very just real life situations. I don't feel like certain things are made up for the storyline of it all. I think it's truly these people's lives a lot of the time. And I also think there's a lot of situations that give us a lot to chew on, a lot to think on, and really talk to one another about. So I have no critiques. I think if last week wasn't a 10 out of 10 episode, I think last week was like a 10 out of 10 episode. And I know that this week was also another 10 out of 10 episode. If you guys don't agree, if you do agree, however you feel, drop down in the comments. Let me know how you feel. I'm here for it. Nonetheless, let's jump right into it. So this episode actually picked up with the ladies still at Brandi's birthday dinner. Contessa is like, people file for divorce for all types of nowadays. And most you have not what? Oh yeah. And Simone is still going on about how, do I look happy? Do I sound happy? And you have people like Quad that are saying you don't mean that, stop saying that, yada yada yada. You got Jackie telling her how she's gonna pop her in her mouth if she says it again. And I'm like, okay, instead of trying to hush her up and trying to, I feel like that's kind of a thing that happens in this group a bit, where they kind of force people to want to stay in marriages. They kind of force the marriage on people, when at the end of the day, divorce isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes that's for the best. Sometimes relationships have ran their courses, and it's okay to tell people when to step away, or that they don't invalidate that person's feelings, because more than likely they're saying that for a reason, i.e. in this situation, Simone, in the past it's been Quad, etc., etc. I don't know what else happened. But they get off of more heavy conversation, and they turn back to celebrating Brandi. Of course, Contessa's still throwing her shade, but in the end, they're hooping and hollering and having a good time for Brandi, because that's why everybody got together, right? Okay. So anyway, what else happened? Then after that, we have Heavenly telling Simone what went down with her son and how she hasn't talked to him because she fussed him out real bad, and he didn't even come back to her talking crazy or anything like that. He simply got his things and he left, and she hasn't talked to him since. And I feel like what was so eye-opening in this conversation is when Simone said that we created the monster and you can't be mad at the monster. I feel like she wasn't just talking to Heavenly in that moment. She was also talking to herself. And that was based on what she's going through at home with her sons / Cecil / everybody. I feel like that was actually her calling out as well. And yeah, I think that was actually very telling. Then we catch up with Eugene and Toya. He's on a 6-day break from work. You know that he's been working about like 5 hours away from home. So he's on his 6-day break. And Toya tells him how Contessa told her that in reference to the space in her new building he was looking to have. She carved out like this space that was really supposed to be reserved for the storage room, and she was trying to turn that into a space for Eugene, but that same space kind of is the same exact space size that the space he's in right now, which he's outgrown. So that's not going to do. That's not going to work. And in this scene, they also talk about, or should I say, Toya brings up how it's just not working for her with having him working so far and so much over there. His whole thing is, you know, I'm actually working less. The goal is to work less, and that's actually what I'm doing. It just so happens to be far away. And she's just trying to tell him how she has been going through it as basically a single mom at home, doing all the duties and stuff. And yeah, he can probably rest more easily at night knowing that home is taken care of, but she's over there going through it, not having her husband at home. And she's asking him, like, why does he feel the need to work so much? And like what is really going on here? And I don't know about you all, but I feel like Toya, you kind of have, not kind of, Toya, you have the answer to that. And I do know that at this point in time, she makes more than him while being on this show. But I still feel like you probably spend more than him, / you probably still want to have a certain lifestyle, and he probably wants to provide you a certain level of comfort / I do feel like also it could be maybe like a little bit of a scarcity mindset, or also trying to ensure that maybe y'all don't land back in the same tax issues. We learned later on in the episode that you've moved, I think they said 5 times since being on the show. So I feel like she could do a lot more to make it so that maybe he didn't feel like he needs to work so much. It doesn't seem like they're hurting for money right now, but I can understand why he might feel like he needs to be doing more. And quite honestly, Toya, like, once again, she really frustrates me because she has this platform. She has the ability to be bringing in more money, but she just is like not doing that for some odd reason. And it's not to say that I wholeheartedly believe that being a stay-at-home mom, being somebody that works within the home and takes care of the kids and makes sure that everybody has a nice home to come home to is a job. It definitely is. But for her to sit here and act like, you know, she couldn't be doing just a bit more, especially when like she doesn't have little babies. Like, she has sons that be in there seasoning steaks and taking out the trash and doing all the things. And so I feel like she's kind of doing a lot when she says that. I really do kind of feel that way. I'm sorry. Yeah, she could be doing more, in my opinion. She really could be. And it's not even like it has to be anything strenuous. She could get more brand partnerships. Again, she could come out with her own wine line. There's just certain things that I feel like she could be doing, but she's not doing it. So it's just like, what do you be over there doing? And I do feel like she's not codependent to the point that it's so much of a problem, him not being there, as much as maybe now she has to do more stuff than she normally would with him without him being there. Some people are thinking that she's just dragging it for the storyline of it all. I don't know what it is, but what I do know is we did see for several seasons, Eugene breaking his back, working so many hours and stuff, especially around the COVID times and all that. And he looked dog tired. And we all know that working yourself to the bone is not healthy. It really just does the opposite effect and can really bring your health into question. So I'm just saying. I think that's all I have to say about that scene. Quad and King, they pull up to Jackie's for an exam. Don't really have much to say about this other than Jackie, first of all, don't be trying to be funny when it comes to boosting King's ego or whatever. That's number one. I don't think he needs his ego boosted anymore. And two, he's still giving Quad like backhanded, not backhanded compliments, but also just, I'm just saying, I'm not trying to put 20 on 10, y'all, when I say this, but we see how so he was so adamant in wanting to give her this injection, which she finally agrees to in this scene. And I'm sorry, but I have to call it like I see it. And because I've seen this happen in real life before, where I don't want to call it a kink necessarily, as much as I do feel like when a person doesn't really like you and stuff like that, they can do little things to try to get over on you, or to try to cause you discomfort, or just try to be a nuisance in your life. And I feel like, are you getting off by giving her this injection because of the pain that's associated with it? Like what is it? It's just, I'm really questioning a lot of things about him right now. Some of you guys might say that I am, again, putting 20 on 10, but I don't really feel like I am. I'm sorry. I just, something in the milk ain't clean when it comes to him. I'm convinced at this point. And I hate that for her. And I want her to know that he's not her sole means of having a baby. He's not. We know that she's working with Dr. Jackie and a doctor in Ghana, of which he says, oh, so Dr. Jackie's going to sponsor this trip to, she's going to pay for this trip to Ghana this time around. Was a joke maybe, but I have a firm belief that there's always a little truth in just about all jokes. So let me find out the money ain't really as long as being perceived when it comes to you, King. Just saying. So Mimi and Steve, y'all, when I say this is probably my favorite scene out of the entire episode, because of how real it was, because of how vulnerable and transparent they were being as parents. So we have Mimi and Steve, they're driving the car with their 8-year-old son, Stevie, and their 7-year-old daughter, Savannah. They are, I forgot how many, they're basically Irish twins almost. They're 18 months apart, or however many months apart. And we find out that their son is actually autistic, and he was diagnosed at 18 months old. So they're trying to get the kids enrolled in summer camp and everything. And obviously they need to find a camp that can facilitate his needs, of course. So they think they found that, everything is good, until out of nowhere, their son whips his hand back and hits their daughter pretty hard. I would say moderately hard for their age and their strength. And she starts crying, of course, and they're like, whoa, pump the brakes. They spring right into action without missing a beat almost. Now, what I will say is there were certain people that said online that they didn't really care too much for them forcing the kids to hug, more so the daughter, because that might teach her to be okay with people that inflict pain on her or cause her harm. So I do understand why certain people said that. I don't think that they were coming from a negative angle, of course, y'all, but I do understand why certain people may have said that. It should be natural. It should be genuine. But they did, have him apologize. They hugged it out and stuff. And Mimi wound up getting in the back seat. Savannah got in the front seat. And it was just a very, very brief glimpse into what they have to deal with on a daily basis. And they got very transparent in their confessional to say that it wasn't easy receiving that diagnosis. And it's something that they don't always have all the answers to. They're navigating it for the first time themselves, and they're taking it in stride, so at the same time. But they both get emotional in the confessional, and I love that they're giving themselves grace, because it's not something that is just this cookie cutter situation that is all just spelled out for them. They're just trying to handle it the best they can, and it seems like their strategy, the way that they approach it, is from a place of love and is from a place that seems to be working for the most part. So kudos to them. I think they're a great addition to the cast. I think what they bring to this entire
show is something that we don't really get too much of on reality TV, or too much of on TV in general. So it really is appreciated, at least from me and everybody else I've seen online who was showing their appreciation for them being so open to share this part of their family. So then we move on to the last scene, y'all, and I'm flying through this. So it's actually the day of Toya's skip workday party. She has the entire backyard set up. Y'all know Toya doesn't spare any expenses when it comes to her parties, which is why, again, I feel like she has so many things that she could really brand and pull in some income from. Just saying. But nonetheless, Toya tells Eugene how she pretty much got it started in the group chat over a fake Balenciaga bag that was left at Brandi's dinner party. And lo and behold, the bag actually belonged to Heavenly. And Toya was convinced that it was fake, though. And I mean, I could kind of understand why she thinks that, other than the fact that obviously she knows the quality and she knows how authentic designer pieces look. But yeah, who is going to leave their bag at a place / who's going to leave their designer bag, more specifically, at an establishment and just like forget it? And I guess it didn't have nothing in it. So yeah, I can understand why maybe she said that. And we know that Heavenly, she really don't even care about fashion like that, for real. So maybe she just thinks it's dumb to spend so much money on things that, you know, are going to be paperweights in her life pretty much during the off season, I guess. I could kind of understand that. But nonetheless, of course, Heavenly clapped back, and she said something to the effect of, well, yeah, at least my house is paid off or whatever. And Toya's like, yeah, I mean, I would hope so. You've been there since 2002. Like, and Eugene shared that same sentiment. And of course, you know, Heavenly clapped right on back. And for whatever reason, she started to refer to how she got a man who loves her, and he got a big dick. And so, you know, meanwhile you over there, Toya, loving on that little shit. And the only reason why she said that is based off of something that Toya said to about Eugene in the past. She did throw that out there, so she can't really be too upset that it's getting thrown back in her face, because she did introduce that first, y'all. She did, and we even see the flashback of when that came to be. And she did start it in this conversation, ultimately. She did. So again, everyone starts to arrive. Eugene wasn't even pressed about it. He didn't get upset. He just thought it was a really dumb conversation. Everybody begins to arrive. And Simone's like, you know, this skip workday party, that's rich coming from Toya, because she ain't got no job. She ain't got no 95. And I was like, well, based on what we saw last week on last week's episode, Simone, your husband ain't got no job either. Just saying. So anyway, you know, people that live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. That's all I'm saying, y'all. Nonetheless, moving right along, Toya has hired some men and women that were like in bikinis and swimwear and stuff to work as servers at the party. I mean, I don't really think it was that big of a deal. You know, you got the people that are like, oh my God. I mean, I wouldn't have done it just because, like, I don't care. Like, I don't, whatever. But I mean, if it was what it was, I mean, if it happened, I wouldn't be all weird about it. Like, it is what it is. I wouldn't expect anything less from Toya. And also, I do feel like it shows that Eugene probably is rather more secure than maybe some other husbands may be in this entire thing, because, you know, he was cool just as long as he had a girl that was in bikini serving the guys that were outside. So, I mean, just saying. And so the main thing though here, y'all, is, you know, Toya shows the ladies her closet and everything. Everybody's saying how nice the house is. Everything is cool. Everything is fine. And so Toya tries to, get the men to play a game, and she's trying to get Eugene to help and to help her, rally everybody around and kind of get things started. So she starts to talking to him, rather like bossy, like rather like some ninja on the street, like. And so he starts ignoring her. Everyone starts picking up on it. It starts to get a little cringy and weird. And she goes on to say, can you be the leader of the house and lead your friends to this side? And that's when, everybody's kind of like, and I pause right there just to say that I do feel like that was over the line. I do. I understand that she's frustrated, but I'm like, this is what I mean when I say you do and treat him a certain way, Toya, that makes y'all an easy target. That makes him an easy target. And I get that you were stressed out because it comes out later that, she was super stressed, having everybody come over. She's sick of being judged by everybody, and that's all fine and dandy. But when you act like this, that doesn't really like help. And it just seems like, I don't know, I can understand why certain people see her as selfish, see her as kind of the voice between them all, and see Eugene as somebody who's just trying to, make her happy, that's trying to appease her and stuff like that, because it does oftentimes come off like, my way or the highway, so to speak, when it comes to their relationship. And so we got Heavenly saying, no, baby, like, no, Toya, let's not do that. Like, oh, no, everybody, again, is like kind of cringing, though, at the same time. Everybody is kind of like, whoa, like that was a lot. And so did you guys pick up on, was that Curtis that was like, is this what you got to look forward to? Curtis, shut up. And also, King, you could shut up too, because for whatever reason, then he tells Quad in the confessional that this is why he'll never move into a woman's house. I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? This is not like, Eugene didn't move in Toya's house. So what does that have to do with anything? This is okay. Whew, let me stop before I get irritated. So Toya's over it at this point. She goes inside. Eugene comes after her, and he's like, what is up? Like, what is going on with you? Like, what the fuck was that about? And she's like, don't fucking cuss at me if you don't want me to fucking curse at you. And it's just like, was it the liquor? Was it displaced anger? I don't like arguing in front of people. Not saying that I never have, but like, it's something that I don't plan on doing in my future. It's something that I don't try to practice. I do feel like that could have been tabled, and I do feel like there was a way that you could have spoke to him, because I don't feel like if he would have said, well, can you gather the women around and clean this up, like as if you're the proud woman of the house or something like that, that wouldn't have been too cool to say. And she does reiterate back to him, like, I didn't say anything other than can you lead them in or whatever. And I'm like, no, you left. You notice how she didn't say it the same way the second time around. She left off the of your household part that second time around, which I don't know, which to me is an indication that she knew that was not something that she should have been just saying, because she wouldn't have liked to be told that if the roles are reversed. She kind of walked it back, in my opinion, by reiterating it that way. So, and also, do you guys see Steve ear hustling the corner in the corner? That was funny. That was really funny. And he's like, the ladies next to you took it personal too. And this is when Toya's like, fuck them bitches. Like, they don't even have a real fucking conversation with their husbands, and they don't know how to be. Like, who the fuck really, cares what they think? And I'm like, might that be true? But clearly, if that's the case, then I don't know why they're in your house, one. And two, I think that even somebody who has the quote unquote perfect marriage would still look at that and be like, weird. That was a little much. So I think everybody's reaction was kind of normal. It would have been my reaction too. I wouldn't have got involved. Like, I probably just got up and, migrated elsewhere. I would have turned the attention somewhere else if it was me, but I don't really feel like it was a means of the women were overstepping as much as I feel like, Toya, you were being reckless with your tongue. I do feel like that. So Eugene, she's like, I'm going to go fix makeup. And he's like, yeah, go fix your makeup, whatever. He goes back outside and he actually admits that he was also hot. It wasn't just her. And Steve was like, is this extreme for y'all? And he's like, just asking to learn. I love how Eugene was like, not you trying to psychoanalyze. And I'm like, he clocked it. He shut that down. I thought that was funny. I thought that was cool. And Mimi's like, marriage is like the most sanctification that you've experienced. It shows you yourself. And in her confessional, she says that they don't have it all the way together. They have approached things, more so from the rah perspective. And it just doesn't work that way. And that's something I definitely can agree with too. I think that they do kind of have some communication issues. And I want to say Toya said on Watch Happens Live that counseling, they're always in counseling. Like, this is a continued thing. And I'm like, I feel like it's something that's continued between y'all, and you guys are always in counseling because you actually have to apply it. You have to apply the principles and the strategies and the suggestions and the tips and stuff like that. You have to actually apply that once you leave the counseling session. And I don't really feel like I've seen that a lot with Toya, because this is actually how she's came off for years on the show when it comes to them. And I feel like it all is founded in respect. I feel like, I'm not saying she doesn't respect him at all, but yeah, her approach, like, yeah, I don't know if it is like I don't know how she sees him, quite honestly, but it does seem like she likes to just, I don't know. She can be kind of just lethal with the tongue when it comes to how she speaks on him and different things. And it almost seems like a taken for granted type of situation too. I feel like, where she knows like he ain't gonna leave her. She knows that she's quote unquote like the trophy wife, I guess. And so she could just, like it's just all about how Toya feels and what she says, and what comes out her mouth is kind of how I see it. And we always say like, oh yeah, she's the queen of her castle and stuff like that. But I feel like she kind of takes that title to new heights when she acts like this. I do. I'm hoping it was just the alcohol, but she did. I want to say she said online or on Watch Happens Live that she wasn't drunk. I don't quite believe that, because just as soon as she got into it with him, then she starts to blame it on the ladies and stuff. And she starts saying to Contessa, or I think it was Anila and Contessa, how, it's all fine and dandy, but at the end of the day, I don't need, the Heavenlies and the Mimis and Brandi specifically having so much to say and pretty much egging on fights between her and her husband. I'm like, I don't feel like they're egging it on as much as we know how Heavenly is. And I don't really feel like what she said was like so bad as it could have been, honestly. And I don't even think she came in there on some funny stuff, but I feel like because Toya knew that she got it started with Heavenly in the group chat earlier that day, I feel like she was already on guard going into the situation, and she already was stressed out, thinking like, how her opening up her home to this group was going to go. There was already she already had a lot of stress on her shoulders, I feel like, when it came to that. And, Contessa's like, I don't need nobody to tell me how to talk to my husband. I'm like, again, that's rich coming from you, Contessa. And I feel like you say that because, yeah, you do say stuff to certain people. I feel like just for the attention and just so you can flip it on them. And I feel like this was actually a matter of Toya also using one of your tactics and flipping it on other people just to deflect from the fact that she was dead ass wrong. Just saying. She was dead wrong. No, I don't think Eugene should have ignored her. I don't think that's cool or cute, but she didn't have to start taking it there with the words. I don't feel like she did. Lean into your femininity, Mimi. She could say that. What else? So Toya goes back outside and she's like, are you listening? She gets on her soapbox and she's like, listen, since y'all like to listen to all the negative and for those of you who aren't my friends, who like to sit here and watch me and Eugene and talk your BS when your relationships are like that, when they're not. And, she's saying all this stuff. And again, I feel like, again, this was more of a deflection because I don't even think anybody was trying to come at her like that. I don't. Like you could not appreciate what people had to say. I get that. But I feel like, again, it was all grounded in it being a deflection and the alcohol. I do. And she's like, if y'all, you're smiling in my face when you don't got my motherfucking back as far as my marriage. And I do feel like, yes, this is a group that goes at it. They most definitely do. But I do feel like there is a base level for the most part that they all have when it comes to their marriages. I do feel like, because at the end of the day, I do still feel like, yeah, Heavenly might say stuff, but clearly she's pro-marriage. Clearly she's going to tell you to stay with your husband and whatnot. And I also feel like we've seen that even earlier on in the episode when we have Jackie basically trying to hush up Simone. If anybody says anything adverse to marriage, I feel like this is a group where they're going to be called out. They're going to be told like, no, just stick it out and da-da-da. So honestly, I feel like that doesn't even apply here, to be honest. And then also, I forgot my other point. I'm sorry, y'all. Long day. But after that, Toya goes inside crying because, Heavenly picks up on that the words were targeted towards her. And Mimi also was like, you can't act some way and then pretty much, tell me how to react or how to, view your actions. And I do feel like that was fair and stuff. And I do feel like Toya knows that she was doing a lot, but I feel like she was kind of just using them as a scapegoat. I do. So Heavenly, Damon, and Steve and Mimi actually leave, and King tries to get them to come back in. Mind you, Heavenly couldn't get out the door, and I'm like, leave to Heavenly. Didn't she? Isn't this what she did last year? She always has these moments where like just stuff just be happening. That when I tell you that was reality TV gold, she couldn't get out the door. Like she couldn't make no dramatic exit. Like I'm like, that will only happen to Heavenly. That was hilarious to me. Toya's still crying to them. And in the end, she's telling them how, well, Heavenly, she's come for my marriage all the time. She dragged my husband. She dragged Simone's husband. She dragged Quad's husband or Jackie's husband. She's, dragged Quad in terms of her life. And next she's going to come for you, Angel, and for you, Brandi. So just FYI, Brandi does wind up apologizing. And I feel like that's because, she knew in the group, this is her girl supposedly and stuff like that. So, okay, good on you, I guess. But I do feel like this, I don't know. I just feel like it didn't need to be that serious. It didn't need to come to that, quite honestly. And I mean, at the end of the day, no, I'm never going to stay anywhere that I'm not wanted. Trust me, I'm never going to stick around for you to kick me out. I'm just go. That's not an issue. And it is good to see that. Though at the same time, just like I said, I do still feel like they have a base level of like for one another on the show. I really do feel like that because as you can see, let me share my screen. At present day, I like how they can break up the makeup on this show. I do. And I feel like it's because one, the cast hasn't been shook up 25 million times over the years. I think they do have a certain rapport with one another. And we see that in moments like this. Right now on Peacock, every holiday. I thought that was really cute. It's all the ladies and they're there, they're able to get together like this and stuff like that. And it doesn't seem like forced. I'm not saying that they're all best friends and stuff like that, but I do think that there is a certain level of respect that they have for one another after all these years. I mean, I feel like that's only fair, and I appreciate that. I really do. And I don't even know. I feel like music was playing this other one, so I don't even know if I could play it. Yeah. Okay. I can't play the audio, but you can see they're all together. They're all having fun in real time. I think that is really nice. I really do. I really enjoy seeing them being able to come together off screen and stuff like that. It's just, yeah. Again, it just supports the fact that this is, I quite honestly believe, one of the best shows on Bravo. I do feel like that. I'm really enjoying Mimi, y'all. I really am. I don't know who this is, but cute. They all got on their little matching outfits and stuff. You see Emily and Simone getting along good enough. We got Brandi and Miss Quad. Her outfit was the only one that was a little different. Toya over there. Toya looks not as enthused as everybody else, if I had to compare. But I mean, again, I feel like we don't get this on other shows. On other shows, certain people fall out and they just fell the fuck out through and through. So I'm here for it. I am. I'm here for it. But that's all I got, y'all. Again, let me know your thoughts and comments on this episode. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, do all the things. And yeah, I shall see you guys in the next one. Happy holidays if I don't see you before then. Bye.